All right, this vid's about do you have to have a 4-year degree to become a pilot and have a flying job that pays decent money? No, you don't. That's really aimed at the major airlines, FedEx, UPS, United, Delta, But no, you don't have to have a degree. And I know a lot of guys that don't and still have really good flying jobs. Most of the jobs that those guys wind up doing are in the some rich guy that owns an airplane and they fly it for him. And a lot of times it works out good for them and that they have some longevity, but I can't say that I know of very many guys that have worked for the same guy for 30 years and retired out of it. But unfortunately, those jobs are far and few between. So what you can really expect is if you start out without the degree, let's say you started flight instructing, from there you progress into a charter department, maybe flying light twins. Eventually you work your way up into a position as a co-pilot for a charter company on maybe a Learjet or something like that. If it's chartered, you usually don't get paid unless you fly. So it's dependent on that. Some places might have a base salary, but usually not. I worked for a couple operators like that, and it was paid by the hour. I mean, that's what it was. It was great when I was flying a lot, but man, when it got slow because the economy took a dump, it really got ugly, And charter departments are typically based on rich guys with money that buy a jet, have a charter operator manage it for them. They charter that out. That's where they get their airplanes. Well, the economy goes bad. Guess what the first thing rich guy is going to get rid of? His airplane. And I've seen that happen. I've gone through 3 cycles of that now. I mean, and seeing that happen through 3 economies that have just taken a dive. And, through my career, it affected me at a carrier about 8-9 years ago, and then prior to that it was about 15 years ago, and then prior to that it was about 22 years ago. So I've gone through that, where in the cycle of that realm where you're flying a lot, you're making a lot of money, and then all of a sudden you're not. And even with a college degree back then, here I'm promoting it so much, but yeah, it was tough because trying to find a job within an aeronautical science degree. But anyhow, that's kind of one of the types of things you can expect. When you're flying for one individual, I guess you could call that corporate flying because it's for one guy. Really, it's more like private jet flying, but there really isn't a category called private jet flying. So private pilot doesn't really sound right. So I would just, people call it corporate. Those jobs, like I said, they're a lot of fun as long as, and there's a lot of cool guys that own airplanes. There's a lot of not so cool guys that own airplanes. I've flown for those guys as well, but like I said, those things, the longevity on those tendencies, it seems to be around 5 years, and then the airplane goes away for one reason. That's just kind of how that works. The ultimate jobs that are non-airline jobs, the ultimate are the corporate flight departments, and those, it's who you know. I mean, man, and I didn't know anybody. I had interviewed with Starbucks flight department, Gulfstream, and some really cool stuff, and I'm a coffee junkie. I've been drinking that stuff before they even had Starbucks stores. They had one store in Seattle, and my dad and I used to drive down there and buy beans, bring them home, crush them, drink that stuff. So I've been sucking that stuff up since I was a kid. Anyhow, Starbucks junkie, live in Seattle. That would have been the perfect job. I would have been Mr. Happy if I got that thing. Because the rumor was they had an espresso machine on the airplane and a flight attendant. But unfortunately, when I interviewed, the guy just didn't think I was qualified for the job. He said I didn't have any international experience, even though I did. But anyhow, that's beside the point. Yeah. So that didn't happen. That would have been an ultimate job because if I would have gotten that job, I'd probably still be doing that today. But it didn't, so I wound up over in, for myself, I wound up over in Europe flying 747s, and that's how I got into the 747 stuff. But anyhow, if you're looking at like Coca-Cola or, Procter and Gamble, if those guys are even around, Walmart's got a huge flight department. If you get locked in with one of those things, you can have a career totally out of a job like that. But again, who do you know that works for Walmart's flight department? I didn't know anybody. There's a bunch of rich guys in Seattle, a bunch of millionaires that own some big airplanes. I mean, look at Paul Allen's operation, 757s. He's got all sorts of cool stuff. I mean, the guy's got, you look at his hangar and it's like mouth-watering how many cool airplanes are in there. But I didn't know anybody that worked there, and I doubt I could even get past security into the facility without getting arrested or something like that. So, I never knew anybody, so didn't really have a shot at getting hired there. Jobs like that typically don't advertise. It's word of mouth and it's bringing their friends in. So that's kind of how that realm works. Do they require a degree? I would imagine somebody like Coca-Cola and those flight departments will. But if you know somebody in there, you might be able to slide in without it. But again, those jobs are few and far between. So I wouldn't invest a whole lot of time in trying to get hired by one of those unless you know somebody there. Just sending in your application and hoping and saying, I like Coke, like I like Starbucks, thinking that would work. Got me in the door, but didn't give me the job. So that's kind of how that works. Other jobs that don't require a degree, air medical, I've done that. That is an interesting job because if you don't mind being on call, because that's what you're going to be. You don't know when someone is going to get sick and needs to get from, in my case, it was up around Alaska, Montana, Idaho, and we'd bring them back to Seattle. The thing there as well is I'd asked, and I won't say who, but I asked an individual that's involved with hospitals, why does everyone get sick after midnight? And apparently, and I'm not saying this is true or correct, but what he told me was if they keep them past midnight, they can bill for 24 hours. So, yeah, I got pissed. I was like, this is a money thing. It's all about money for the hospital. So, anyhow, all the flying that we were getting, the majority of it, unless it was a critical patient, a burn victim, or somebody that needed to get back quick, we'd go get them right away. But if it was somebody that was just coming down to Seattle for something because they didn't have it available up in Alaska, yeah, that was always done after midnight. So you can expect not flying all day long, wondering if you're going to go fly, wondering, nothing. This happened to me more than I don't know how many times that I can even count, where I just put my head in the pillow and the pager went off and I had to go fly. I go out, do a flight, come back, 5 o'clock in the morning, just ready to put my head on the pillow, just going down, bam, the pager went off. I didn't like that I didn't like that lifestyle. I was just constantly fatigued. It just really wasn't all that much fun. I wound up eventually doing international air medical stuff in a Learjet. That was fun, but the Lear's just a small airplane to go around the world in. But like I said, really interesting. Other jobs, there's state jobs, but those are, who you know. There's like something in the Washington State Patrol flying a 182. I think it was maybe chasing speeders around or something like that. I thought that'd have been pretty cool, but I tried for that. Didn't know anybody down there. Didn't get it. The firefighting jobs, I have absolutely no idea who you'd talk to there. That's got to be who you know. But like I said, it's kind of a common theme. You hear me saying it's who you know. You can send your resumes in all day long, but until you meet somebody and they like you, the chances of you getting hired into some of these unique things are really tough. Other things that you see ads for people trying to build, when they're trying to build flight time. People always say fly, pipeline patrol or fire watch or the parachute jumping, all these things, and I don't know. With the internet, it's probably easier to find. I haven't searched those jobs because I have a job already, but banner towing. How do you do that? I don't know. Someone figures it out, call me or shoot me an email, because I'd be curious to see what they want for flight time and how many hours of banner experience do you have to have. If you've never towed a banner, then how do you get hired? That's one thing that you'll find in this industry is everyone's like, well, how much time do you have in that airplane? Well, none. Oh, well, we want someone with that kind of experience because it's a difficult airplane to fly. Man, you're going to hear that I don't know how many times, and you just have to suck it up, It's frustrating, and I remember more than once I had asked, there's a Learjet job I was trying to get, and this guy goes, well, how much Lear time do you have? I had none, but I had about 8,000 hours in turboprops, and he goes, well, the Learjet is a very difficult airplane to fly, and you must be an exceptionally skilled pilot to fly one, so because you have no experience, I can't help you out. And so I asked him, I said, and so you're telling me that you were actually born in this airplane and started flying it the day you popped out into this world? And he's like, well, no. I go, yeah, well, I'm in that same position. So who helped you? Well, a friend. And I go, so obviously you're not a friend. So anyhow, nice smack in the face. But I mean, yeah, that's the stuff that you're going to hear. So anticipate that on the road to in aviation. I mean, man, there's it's just kind of the way it works. A lot of egos in this biz, and it's a tough thing. So anyhow, bottom line, yeah, you can make money without a degree, but it's not, the stability factor isn't there, and that's what gets old. And your wife, or if you're a woman, female pilot, your boyfriend or husband, just they get tired of it. I know a lot of people that have had difficulty in relationships because of aviation. It's nothing new. I guess it happens in any career, but you're gone a lot in aviation. So one day you're making a buck, next day you're not. So anyhow, that's it. You don't need to have a degree to fly, but like I said, I highly recommend it. And get started on it. If you're going to get the degree, when you're right out of high school, boom. If you're in your 30s or 40s, go online. You can still do it. It's not too late. It'll take you a couple of years, but you're going to have it, and it's cool. And you can still work and do the school thing. You're not going to be able to go play golf every Saturday because you're studying for finals. But hey, you can still do the degree, and that's a cool thing. So yeah, check out the online stuff. There's a lot of stuff out there. I'll try to get a list put together for you of some different schools that kind of aviation oriented, but not the Embry-Riddle big bucks type thing. So Riddle actually does stuff online now, I think. Let's see if I can find the link, put it up there. So anyhow, that's it. Take care. See ya.